Hello and welcome to Wellteam, and I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are. I've got another exciting opportunity to speak to a man by the name of Simon Holloway. Simon is the co-founder of an incredible company doing some amazing things in the health and wellness space. He's a man with huge passion. I met a number of years ago at a wellbeing conference, and he absolutely owned the room with all of his energy and enthusiasm. Simon, it's fantastic to see you again. Hello, mate.
G'day, Troy. Good to see you again, mate. How are you?
Exceptional. Thanks, mate. I still remember the time at that conference. You had hordes of people queuing up to see you. It was quite extraordinary. The rest of the stall holders were around there wondering what the hell they were doing wrong, mate. You've got an incredible product. But what I absolutely loved was the passion that you brought every day. Tell me where you get that passion from.
Well, thanks, mate. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say it was just all about me, but I'm going to have to give cred to what I'm dealing in. You know, that's also, let's face it, what drew the people in from afar. It wasn't just me shouting with my ridiculous voice. When you start seeing this stuff, you start seeing blueberries going off its chops and lettuce and strawberries and these beautiful herbs and my edible violas. If you are a human being, male, female, old, young, rich, poor, country, city, you come across that, of course, you're going to get drawn in. And so particularly when we're even at a wellness exhibition like you, mate, without dissing the others, to be fair, they are sterile booths, aren't they? You got lovely people there, and you've got all these good information, but they are sterile. So when you see plants, no matter how much big my head likes to get, it's actually them that initially draws it in. But that's also where I get my passion and my energy, because I tell you what, the world of plants is just amazing, and never ceases to amaze me every single day, and I get to work in it, so I'm lucky.
Brilliant, mate. Look, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy day. I know Vegepod is growing from strength to strength, and you are a real Australian success story that might be a bit of an underdog hiding out there. But I know you're going from country to country. You're the head of communities, growing those relationships out there. I know you're one of the co-founders and a co-owner of this amazing Australian business, and you're expanding across the globe. Tell us a little bit about that growth trajectory.
Yeah, mate, we're as of last month, Vegepod India opened up, so that's now 20 countries around the world. We just keep growing, and I think it's a testament to the product. COVID has helped us a little bit in terms of, we were one of those offerings that during tough times and during times where activities and services were all limited, the one thing that people could do and get right into with their whole family, let alone themselves, was gardening, and indeed edible gardening, mate. So we've just seen us rise, although we're already on the trajectory going like that. Yeah. The last 2 years made us get a bit more of a steeper incline. And look, we reckon that we'll go to another 20 countries on top of the current 20 in the next 2 to 3 years, the way it's going.
Hey, that's fantastic. Look, as you said, the notion of growing your own food is absolutely brilliant. At Wellteam, we encourage our members to get out there and to explore what's in the food that they're eating. Just check the package, check the labels, make sure that what they're eating is real food, because it's really difficult. And just looking at behind you there, I mean, that's what you've got growing there. It looks like there's a huge variety of stuff growing in those Vegepods. And to get our members eating more fresh, nutritious food that has a great variety to it, it's got to be really good for the body. I mean, you know this stuff better than me, mate.
It's true. And there's so many angles, right? It's organic eating. It's the only true way to know that the food that you're eating, even if they've got that symbol on it, to be fair, the only real way you ever know is if you grow it yourself, because then you know what soils have gone in, what pesticides haven't been used, what herbicides haven't been used, what's the water that you're putting. All of those things really culminate to not just a beautiful organic eating, but also the taste, because then people want to say, well, how much money am I saving, which is great. But I tell you what, for me, I just get off on the taste. I defy anyone to compare my blueberries and my strawberries to the one in the supermarkets, and you'll taste that goodness. So, look, that's enough to get excited about. But the fact that we also then are organic and good for the planet for what's going on. So not only is it good for me and my family for what we're consuming, not only is it good for me to be in touch with the seasons and what plants grow now and nurturing something else apart from ourselves, but also the greater society and the greater planet is benefiting because the carbon miles that go into growing, I'll give you a whole little story about that. The carbon miles that go into one little bag of frozen blueberries from Chile will blow your mind. And what all those herbicides and pesticides do to the planet, also no good. The fact that we're growing green stuff is great. Listen, it really is. I mean, it sounds like an evangelical type here, but it really does get to you on an individual level and a societal level when you are growing plants, let alone edible plants. And mate, that gets me up out of bed every day to be able to spread that love.
I love this stuff. Now, you were telling me before about some of the groups that you work with and some of the hard nuts. I think you're in the prison system, working with some difficult communities. Now, our members aren't difficult people, but they're incredibly busy. The 40 to 60-year-old male is full of being assaulted from so many different areas. There's a lot of people who are in executive levels and running their own businesses, and time is really a challenge for them. And it's probably, again, sounds like an ad for Vegepod, but mate, over to you. Tell us, what can Vegepod do that's going to make their life better? Because it's got to be easy, it's got to be simple, and they've got to be able to do it and get some benefit from it at the same time.
Well, the thing is, and this is kind of the little catch that we get them on, right? This is the little drug. I'm the enabler, right? Given the first little baggie, because when they go, I haven't got time for this, mate, guess what? You get them growing once and you get them growing successfully, which is what we really hammer home, which is what we make easy. And then you end out gardening more and more and more. So suddenly this thing that you didn't have time for becomes your love. I mean, my kids think I'm absolutely crazy. I'm doing this 5 days a week. And then I come home and most of the weekend is just shared between surfing and gardening. And they're going, Dad, you're gardening all the time. You're going off to shows, spruiking, and now you're gardening with more Vegepods at home. I said, yeah, because that's what I love. It's good for my head. It's good for my body. It's good for that family who are whinging about it. But, it is so good. And really it's about, and I think what touches on these people think I don't have time for it. So where you're coming from there is in traditional gardens, it can take quite a long time. I mean, I grew up on a farm up the far north coast of New South Wales, a glorified hobby farm, if you like, of only 80 acres. But my old man's veggie garden, it was a ripper and we fed off it and lived off it, but it was big and it was hard yakka. We had to learn the art of watering, underwatering and overwatering. We had to learn how to defeat the pests. I remember the big storms, always having to put over these ridiculous nettings and swearing and Dad going off his chops. Then we had to also learn about it. We were in there pulling out the ragweed, the lantana, all the, the stinky Rogers, all of these weeds we had to keep going. And then, of course, you had the soil-borne pests and all of this sort of stuff was really, really hard yakka. But what we've done, or what I should say my business partner has done, is put all of those pain points and killed them off. So we have self-watering reservoirs. So for those who don't have much time, don't worry. Look at my plants, would you? I mean, I haven't watered them for 4 weeks. They draw from below and take the art out of watering. They have overflows out the back so you don't overwater it and drown it. Our commercial grade crops, canopies, which come off Aussie seedling farms, keeps out the pests, keeps out the weeds, keeps out the inclement weather, but it lets the air and the rain and the light through. So it takes all that guesswork and pain out. And then, of course, we're up high. And people keep saying, oh, that's great for the oldies, mate. Well, again, if you've ever gardened at least once or twice, you'll know that in 20 minutes, if you're not fully raised and you're down on the ground or with the half ones, your knees get sore, your back gets sore. I don't like to think I'm that old, and I still love to have it up. So you put all those things together, that's what you get with the Vegepod, with our patented design. And I will guarantee all of you folks, it sounds a bit cheesy, but if you get good sun and you get good soil and don't get the cheap $3 bags from where, good sun, good soil with the Vegepod, 100% guaranteed to grow decent veg, and then you're locked in for life, and it's one hell of a great addiction.
I had a great experience with our kids. We've got a couple of teenage kids, and I decided I'll build these beautiful little garden beds out the back of our house, and the kids can plant it out. We gave them some money, plant it out, get the garden going, and we'll buy the veggies from them at market rate, which I thought was a cracker idea. Teach them a bit of commerce, teach them some business, some responsibility. Well, the buggers didn't water it at all, and I didn't want to see the money go to waste. So I didn't end up buying anything from them. But they did one day start a little market stall out the back. We had some excess chilies and cucumbers, I think. And so they took them out the front, put a little stall up out there and sold them to people driving past and to neighbours. They made a few bucks, which was great. But the thing that I wouldn't let them sell was the tomatoes. The tomatoes were extraordinary. The flavour in them was very different to anything that I'd bought in a shop before. And they were just the sort of thing that you'd want to pick up and eat like a fruit. They really were incredible.
You bet. That's always the one example I give is tomatoes. Because for me, and for most people who are into a little bit of gardening, that's the hero of all gardening. You're going to pick one thing that's going to tick a lot of boxes. It's prolific. And it's so diverse. I mean, you know, you could put them in so much culinary purposes, a gazpacho, a soups, a Bloody Mary, just in a cold salad, in roasts and barbecues and you know, passadas, you name it. The tomatoes, in some form or manner, everyone will eat them, right? So they're great to grow. And yet you go to those two big supermarkets and they taste like water. Water at best, cardboard at worst, right? But it's seriously, and we kind of become used to it. And because they're all hydroponically grown. Now, hydroponics is, if you have seen these huge things, I've been out to these factories and it's amazing. And look, you see why we do it. I'm not dissing those companies and farmers that do it because of our demand and that mass-produced stuff. Us as human beings, and I'm one of them, so I don't separate myself. Us as a collective, we brought that about, but we need to bring it back around because they're all on these poles. It's hydroponics, which is chemicals infused, and you wonder why they don't have any taste. Put them in some beautiful natural soil, out in the sun, and let the taste of difference. I'm sorry. Or if you go to, you know, people go, I went to Italy and Tuscany and the tomatoes, and they're beautiful because they're homegrown.
Yeah.
Those guys don't give the restaurants go out today, all homegrown, and they will taste not 10 times better, 100 times better. And that's why I say to some people who start asking me about the price, when, you know, if I buy a $600 large Vegepod, you know, when will I make the $600 back? And I say to them, look, you will. And we've got that proven, by the way, by the University of Western Sydney within a year. But that is not the point. Just get growing and feel all that other goodness. And that taste of one big batch of beautiful tomatoes is worth more than that anyway.
Mate, I love your passion and I'm an absolute fan of your product. I haven't managed to get around to buying one yet, but after ripping up all the dirt from this crappy garden that just didn't work because of all the things you said before, I was lousy at watering and I had to have this elaborate watering system set up. It didn't work. I had pests, they were a problem. I had possums coming down, stealing some of the fruit. I had snails all through the place. I was a write-off, you know. I was on one of those gardening shows. It's like a makeover for a terrible gardener, and I still remember.
Yet that'll be my challenge, mate. You're my backyard renovation. How about that? Look, as I said before, gardening shouldn't be hard. You know, it's you're not going to succeed on absolutely everything, even with a Vegepod. There'll be things that you're going to learn that I won't have the time to impart knowledge. That no, you can't grow a broccoli in summer. Troy, what are you doing? But, you know, there's a little lesson and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what I keep saying to people. Just grow one thing and the rest, if you grow something wrong and it dies, that's why I also pack mine out. I'm not a paper horticulturalist, by the way, and they'll tell you, hang on, look at this, I don't have a single gap. There's my variegated oregano taking over a lawn between my chives, tomatoes, and strawberries. For me, it's about survival of the fittest. To just pack them in and get going. We'll give you the contraption to do it, but then it's just about getting out there. And it's a little bit of time, and you will not regret any hour spent out in the garden from a mental space, emotional, from spiritual, you know, physical, mate. It's seriously, it's one of the best activities anybody can do. And that's why we are now getting engaged by corporate wellness teams, for example. We are now they're coming on, they're getting us to install at companies, their own Vegepods on site. It's getting the teams together. So we're going beyond those, you know, the old tired 1980s trust things. So let's push somebody over and catch them. That's tired. Let's get out and garden together. Let's see what's going on. And they're also donating out then to needy or vulnerable groups, which makes people feel connected, feel good. There's so much within gardening, and it's non-prejudicial, that we can all get involved. And mate, if we can be at the vanguard of that, I'm completely stoked.
You are awesome. I really love what you do. You know, we've got a heap of members out there, and no doubt a few of them will be watching this and wondering, look, what do I do? What do I need to do to get started with Vegepod? Looks good. I mean, what's behind you is impressive. Everything you're saying makes a whole lot of sense. Growing your own food is an absolutely awesome thing that we should be all aiming for. Eating fresh and healthy, nothing better than it. What's somebody got to do to get themselves up and started today?
Flat packed. We got instructions there. No tools required. So look, I got 5-year-olds in kindergartens and 85-year-olds in aged care homes putting it together. So if your members are 40 to 60 mile, they can't. They should be embarrassed. But look, what we do is there are instructions. There's a support that gives you little knacks for each one. With good old Aussie customer service, we got the 5 in the office here, the admin ladies that are always giving out customer service. We're here to help, but it really is simple, and that was one of the other beauties of it. So, and I think what we might do, Troy, is I'll end up giving you a discount code for your members, mate. And by the time you record this, if you can whack it up on the screen and you know, to help them out a bit if they do want one.
Oh, that's bloody awesome. Thank you, Simon. That's amazing. That's very generous of you. And you know, your product is going from strength to strength, and I think it's because I haven't met the rest of your team, but you're an incredibly passionate guy. You can just see that you're doing something that you genuinely believe in, that you love, and it's smack bang on health, wellness, living the good life, and that comes out in spades when you see your energy, because you're living what you're talking about, and that means so much.
That's it, mate. I'm tapped in.
Absolutely. Well, mate, look, I'm going to go give a shout out to the rest of your team and say thank you, because what they're producing is brilliant. It's a great Australian success story that's encouraging healthy eating across the globe. Thank you for that fantastic offer. We'll get that up on the screen somewhere and get that off to Wellteam members. But have a fantastic day out there.
Thanks,
and
mate.
Thank you once again. Have a great Christmas if I don't speak to you before then. But well done.
Thanks, mate. Good to be with you, and great to see the work you're doing with Wellteam too, mate. So happy to support, and hopefully we'll have a brew of some sort soon.
That sounds fantastic. Brilliant.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, there you go. That was the amazing Simon Holloway from an Australian success story, Vegepod. And I've just recorded this section after that. So for Wellteam members, enter in the coupon code WELLTEAM10 and you get 10% off any online purchase of Vegepod. So get out there, make the most of a great Australian product that's so good for you in so many different ways. Get out there, live life to the fullest, and as healthy as you can. Go well.